Welcome back to another Fallout 76 Dev Dive. I'm Devin McCarthy, Community Manager at Bethesda Game Studios, and I'm here with a couple of our developers to talk about the new Legendary Crafting System that is coming to Fallout 76 on July 7th. So what is the Legendary Crafting System, and why is it being added into Fallout 76?
So Legendary Crafting is something that's been requested by the community for quite some time. It allows the player to take almost any item, weapon, armor, or power armor, and apply a set of legendary mods directly onto that item. This lets you focus on improving the specific items you like to use and takes away a large amount of the randomness that comes from purchasing from the purveyor or from game rewards.
So what do players need to upgrade their existing items to be legendary?
Players will need to buy legendary modules at the purveyor and acquire legendary cores from the public events. They then take those to a workbench and modify their armor, power armor, or weapon with the desired tier of legendary mods. Each tier has a different component cost and will roll the appropriate set of legendary mods. You can reroll legendary mods as often as you have the components that allows you to do that. You can take an item that has no stars and turn it into a 3-star, or you can take a 3-star item and turn it into a single-star item if that's all you can afford. We've built the whole system to be as flexible as possible to accommodate as many players as possible.
Sounds like a lot of players in the Wasteland are going to be getting some really great upgrades to their gear. So what changes does the new system bring to power armor?
So the ability to have legendary power armor opens up a whole new bunch of playstyles for those players. Power armor players can now have bloodied builds, food builds, aristocrat builds. We've really built this entire system to give players as many options as possible to fit their preferred playstyles.
So we're doing some balance work on existing legendary attributes. What's our overall goal with these changes?
Really just to kind of provide just a generalized buff for a lot of our mods that have been kind of left behind with a lot of the changes that we've had over the last couple of years. Like the Assassins mod at launch, that was purely a PvP mod. Like that really only affected like when you were attacking other players because it specifically only damaged other humans and there were no other humans in the Wasteland. And then with Wastelanders, suddenly Appalachia is full of other humans. So it's just like, all right, now this mod is a lot more important. So we ended up buffing that from, I think it was a 10% damage buff all the way to 50%. And we've just got lots and lots of other little things like that, where the one Wasteland damage reformulation we did last summer, like that was kind of an across-the-board nerf, and we promised players that, like, hey, this is going to let us do a lot more buffs and do a lot more new things, and this was kind of like that first avenue where we could start doing that, where, hey, before, like, we've got a series of legendary mods that, like, up your damage against mirelurks and robots and stuff like that, and we were able to buff those by, like, an additional 20%. It's kind of a, like, hey, let's make the game a little bit more fun and add a little bit more power back to the player.
Sounds like there's a lot of really exciting changes in store. All right, we're also introducing some new legendary attributes. Do you want to tell us a little bit about those?
Over the last couple of years, we've actually been able to do a lot of really great improvements to CK and add a lot of extra functionality that we didn't have before. And over like the last 2 years, we've added a lot of great new features that allow us to detect damage, states better, to basically perform actions more reliably. And we were able to basically start producing a series of combat mods that were much more reliable and a lot more fun, which also allowed us to start filling in a lot of our gameplay holes that we've had in our game. For example, hey, we didn't have a really reliable way to kind of detect how much health you had. Like, we could kind of do it on the downscale, like when you were hurt, which is how we got those bloody builds, but it was more difficult for us to be able to tell if, like, say, you had full health and things like that. We couldn't do that super reliably. So now we could actually provide sort of the exact opposite of a bloody build, something that's 100% tuned to keeping your health bar entirely full. And likewise, we were able to create a lot of new mods that kind of support some of the emerging build styles. We refactored the Hunger and Thirst system last summer. And that went from basically being like a quality of life build to like manage the nuisance to now it provides a series of buffs. So with the new legendary mods, we were actually able to create specific ones that actually build on top of that and actually make food builds kind of a more reliable thing, where now if you keep your hunger and thirst meter full, you're getting a damage boost and you can further slow those types of things. And that was one of our bigger focuses, was trying to fill in those gaps for things that we weren't quite able to do at launch, and also start adding new things to support the emergent build styles that had like just sort of popped out of nowhere.
Do you have a favorite new legendary mod that we're adding?
Aristocrat. It increases your damage based off how many caps you have.
Aristocrat, Sentinel, and Toxic on armor, with Aristocrat and Steady on the Sledgehammer. Then combined with both Sentinel and Steady, which also increases my resistance and damage output, and Toxic, who applies a toxic spell to melee creatures that attack me. It makes me a pretty nasty tank, so I can just jump into a mob of creatures and sit there and hold my own.
I definitely want you on my next daily ops team. What type of items can roll these new attributes?
Potentially any. Well, we vary them depending on the certain type of item. It still works the same way our current legendary system works, where we have certain weapon mods that are restricted to melee and range. We've got a whole new suite of armor mods, and we've got an entirely new suite of power armor legendary mods, which essentially we've basically taken almost every single existing armor legendary mod, and now we've added that to the power armor mod pool on top of all of the brand new ones that we made for armor.
What are your favorite combinations of mods to roll? Do you have like the luckiest roll that you've ever gotten from the Purveyor?
I guess probably the best one I've gotten is it has a Juggernaut and Last Shot on it, on a basically a sniper rifle. And Juggernaut is our new mod that actually increases your damage based off how much health you have. And Last Shot increases how much damage you deal when you are on the last round in your magazine. And I enjoy playing sniper builds, so it's just I will be full up on health, sitting on top of a hill, shooting a couple of rounds, waiting for that last round, and then just firing off a magazine. It perfectly suits my playstyle.
That's awesome. Do you have any favorite moments from the development process?
Yeah, I would actually say this was a little more sentimental. It was definitely getting to brainstorm with the team again. Right before things kind of locked down last year, we had kind of already done all of our brainstorming and most of our content was planned out. And the new content that emerged, it was kind of all self-contained, hey, you take this, you take that, design it on your own, and maybe we'll talk about it. And the Legendary Mods was kind of the first time we really got to, we couldn't be together physically in the room, but it was kind of the first time that we had a big meeting where we were all kind of exchanging ideas and bouncing crazy things off one another. And it was just kind of good to be back in a creative environment, even though we're separated, and just feeling that energy again.
It's great to collaborate with the team once more.
Indeed.
What about you, Martin? Do you have any favorite parts from the development process?
Yeah, much like Mike, I love the early days of a feature when we do a lot of rapid prototyping, we do a lot of discussions, a lot of play tests. It's kind of frantic. Everybody moves super quickly. We kind of go, 100 miles an hour on changing, modifying, balancing a feature. It's very similar to whenever we drop a new feature on PTS and we listen to player feedback. We just have to sort through, a ton of feedback, figure out what we can do, what we don't want to do, pull that into the feature, send it out again for playtest, and kind of repeat that loop. That's really the favorite part of making new things in games for me.
So Legendary Crafting has been in the PTS for a few weeks now. How has player feedback impacted the development process?
Player feedback has been a major component into us finalizing and releasing the feature. Things like simplifying the legendary cores from 3 different ones to a single one, to adjusting the crafting costs, to balancing the various mods. Those are all changes that came directly from the community. So I highly encourage everybody to join us up on PTS and make your feedback known. We pay a huge amount of attention to what you all have to say about what we're making. And while we can't act on all of it, it brings us a lot of joy when we do implement changes that come directly from our player base.
Thank you guys so much for taking time out of your busy days to talk to us about the new Legendary Crafting system. Before we go, is there anything that you want to say to the community?
I want to thank everybody for playing, for participating in PTS and shaping this feature. And I look forward to seeing you online.
Yeah, thanks to the fans so much. Your feedback is really what makes these things better, and we absolutely appreciate it, and we love you guys.
All right, thanks again for joining us, Michael and Martin. We really appreciate your guys' time. And for those of you who are eager to get your hands on these legendary upgrades, our next update is July 7th. We'll see you in the Wasteland.